Welcome to RŌL Radio. Today we have second degree black belt and owner of East Rutherford, New Jersey's Notorious Mixed Martial Arts, Fiona Watson. Fiona has been training many forms of martial arts since the age of 3, but it wasn't until her early teens when she discovered what she really wanted to do with the rest of her life. That is when she started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. With an extremely positive attitude and unparalleled drive, Fiona set out on a path to make her goal of making a living in BJJ a reality, and she never looked back. How did she do it? Listen as she talks about her past, the steps she took to get where she is today, and her plans for the future. She is proof that great things come in small packages. Here is RŌL Radio with Fiona Watson.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Gary, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a long weekend, a long hot weekend. I ate too much barbecue yesterday, so I'm regretting that decision.
Why are you rubbing this? Why are you rubbing it in?
Rubbing what in? You have a grill?
This show just gets better. Listen, I'm really excited about this one because we have, I think, very unique guest here. Somebody who's been doing martial arts for a very, very long time, recently opened up their own academy, and they're obviously with martial arts journey particularly, but also opening up business surrounding their obstacles and successes. So we're going to dig into some of these things. Fiona, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How's everything going on your side?
Going pretty well. You know, I'm getting back to a new normal, getting back to training hard every day. Started teaching my classes again since the COVID shut down, and things are going pretty good for me right now.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's great to hear. So, we've done some research on you, obviously. We know who you are, right? But our listeners don't. So you've been doing martial arts for a very, very long time. Tell us how all this started.
I was actually 3 years old when I started training martial arts. I was really quiet, timid kid. So my parents put me in kind of to get more outspoken, confident, trying to build my character because I was like super shy. But I did mostly striking, like some boxing, kickboxing, some MMA, like basic grappling, and stand up until I was like in my teenage years. And then I started training jiu-jitsu.
I find that very interesting because you said you were very timid and kind of maybe shy and very reserved in some aspect. And look at you now. I mean, things have changed.
Yeah, I'd say it worked,
you're destroying people on national TV and breaking arms and dislocating shoulders. I mean, that's quite a change, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely took the right approach because I don't know if anything else would have worked, you know.
So how has that journey been? Often there's a cliche saying, jiu-jitsu changes lives. But I think in your particular case, that's, there's a lot of emphasis on that. And can you speak a little bit more about that from your childhood all the way up to even jiu-jitsu and then past the jiu-jitsu, how all these changes and milestones went through your life?
So I would definitely say that when I started it, I was still super young. So I think it was more of something that I could be committed to. So even though like I wasn't comfortable with the people yet or anything like that, I think it started building my character, like I said. And then as I started training there, I felt like it was like a second home, and I was really comfortable with like my professors and my teachers and my teammates. And I started getting like way more confident in myself. Like I wanted to compete. I wanted to assist other students in their classes, and I just wanted to help as many people as I could at that point.
And is this pre-jiu-jitsu or this is post-jiu-jitsu, or where's this confidence point? Where was this
I
the
would
breakaway?
say when I got to my teenage years was definitely where I was ready to like take it to the next level kind of thing. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna go to college because I wanted to fight professionally, you know. But I would say that, like my teenage years.
What do you think drove that that passion to fight and be engaged in that kind of, why not chess? So much safer.
I don't know. I just became I don't want to say the word obsessed, but I like work out like every day, even at that age. I was actually a pretty good athlete like growing up. I would do like soccer and other things, softball, but I quit everything to do jujitsu. I just loved it. Like I love the feeling of working out super hard, and I was always the only girl, like mostly in the classes, but for me, it was just like I just became obsessed.
That's I suppose out of all obsessions, that's a good one to have, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You mentioned you were the only female on the mat, and I know that introduces a lot of obstacles for you and for the training partners. What's your general feeling on the concept of females training jiu-jitsu? Is that good, bad? What's your thoughts on this from the other side?
I think that females training jiu-jitsu is actually a great thing, especially most female technique ability is like much different than rolling, obviously with men because they're very strong and athletic, and sometimes the women prefer to be more technical, which I think is actually a good thing, even for the men to train with them because they can kind of take their strength out and focus more on their technical ability. As far as me, I really, when I started, I didn't have pretty much any female training partners. So I was basically always training with the guys, but it definitely made me mentally tougher, getting beat up a little bit, but it definitely did.
Talk about getting smashed every day, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's great,
That's
though.
what Gary experiences every day.
I do get smashed every day.
Me too.
But I'll deal with it. My daughter trains, and it's great. I showed her a video of you Friday, right after we spoke, and her eyes were wide, and she was like, "Wow, that's so cool! It's so cool!" And I think it's great for them to see people like themselves. She's a small kid. We're a pretty small family. My kids are real small. To see people like them, kicking butt and doing it right. She was super excited and really loved watching that. And it's great for her when she's here on the mat because even though, times have changed from when you started, the percentage of females on the mat is still pretty small. We have a decent amount of female girls here, little girls here training in the kids program. And I think it's great that they have a role model to look up to, but also that, they're here with boys, usually who are a lot bigger, like you said, a lot stronger. And it just gives them confidence to go out and do all the other things that they need to do on a daily basis. It gives them a great boost, and I think it's great for them.
Yeah.
Do you think your jiu-jitsu is better because you train with men?
Personally, I would say yes, because like I said, I think it's more the mentality. I would say that I've always been like pretty technical, but the mental part, like obviously if you're small like me, I'm kind of a small competitor to begin with, but I'm small. So it's hard for me already to find training partners. So my main training partners are like guys between like I would say like 140 to 160.
Which is still 20, 40 pounds over your weight.
Yeah, I mean I compete IBJJF at 114 pounds.
Yeah.
So they've got some serious size on me, but like mentally, if I could say that this person's, has me inside control or smothering me a little bit, I know when I go with someone that's my size, like another woman, obviously mentally, I'm going to be more confident. So I would say yes.
So that's one of the big conversation topics, at least that I have encountered in 20 years being on the mat and teaching and so on, is between females is do I need to train with females only, or do I need to mix and match with male? What if I don't have female training partner? And maybe my selection of smaller man is very limited. What in the world do I do? Like, is my training even efficient? Should I even continue training? I mean, those questions came up to me. I'm sure you're getting plenty of those. And what's your feeling about all this?
I definitely feel if there is an environment where you have other female training partners, like obviously that's ideal. If you can get some girls, I know especially some of the academies in California, they have strong female teams where they have a lot of black belt girls that train together and things like that. But if you don't have that opportunity, I think it's the same thing. You need to find partners, whether they're guys or girls, that you feel comfortable rolling with, that your safety is the most important thing. Like they can push you safely, like obviously like in stack passes or takedowns, but obviously you trust them enough that they're going to be training with you every day. So I would say a mix of both, and you personally have to make your decision, as far as like what you feel is safe.
You're referring to exercise, I assume, that very fine line of pushing the limit, pushing the boundary of physical and mental capacity, but at the same time staying away from injuries. Is that that's what you're referring to?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Like I'm fortunate and blessed at my academy. I have an all women's team as well. And sometimes I have 20 to 25 women that are all super tough training together, and they're all relatively the same size. But that doesn't happen. Like you said, in a lot of situations, it's very rare. So I think it's more about preference, and I think it's more about keeping your own training safe. Like I roll majority with guys, like majority.
So do your female students roll with men as well, or is this exclusive female group?
So I have a women's only class that's offered twice a week. And then anyone who I feel that, obviously there's different reasons why people train, so if they're looking at more of a competitive aspect, then I would say, yeah, some of them do train in the guys' classes. But if they're looking at it more like self-defense or a hobby or getting in shape, then I think it's better that they start out at least with the all-female classes.
Yeah. I think I think you have one of those unique opportunities, which a lot of academies don't have, where one, you're a female instructor. So that's one, which draws the attention and provides that unique relationship that you have with your female students, right? But number two, you can provide that female class taught by a female, which I think takes it to the next level. At times, it's difficult to achieve with a male instructor, or some of those limitations that come there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you starting out at 3, you're going through your teens, you're beating people up, and then how in the world are you introduced to jiu-jitsu? Why are you introduced to jiu-jitsu?
So, like I said, I was doing a lot of striking, a lot of I would say MMA, like boxing and some ground. And then I was really intrigued because my karate teacher was like, I'm going to have a female coach come in and teach jujitsu. And I kind of, at that point, I'm like, oh no, like I don't want to do jiu-jitsu full time, but I was super intrigued by her. Her name was Ghazi Parman. I don't know if you guys ever heard of her, but she was my first coach, and she was like, I wanted to be like her, like when I saw her, she was like sitting at the desk and sleeping on the mats and like training all the time. And I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And then that was like my moment of this decision there.
How old were you then?
I was 15.
15. So 15, you had an epiphany that jiu-jitsu is going to be your destiny. It's going to be what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You're going to roll in pajamas on the floor with a bunch of guys and girls, and you're going to be jiu-jitsu lifestyle all the way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted.
That's awesome. So things are so at that point you were a teen, right? So you're not even a blue belt yet, right?
No, I actually had to get promoted in the kids ranks until I turned 16.
Yeah, and then you go through your normal journey all the way through the teens. And how is that going? Are you training at the same academy? Where are the obstacles that you, as a small teen female, you're encountering all throughout?
So definitely at that time, like I said, she had come in to like teach jujitsu. So all of my other like striking training partners also joined her class. So I had a good amount of like beginner people, even there were some teenagers that I could still train with. But eventually, like, she ended up moving, and I started like, competing a lot. Like, I became like, I want to compete all the time, and I have just lost my coach. So I had to like switch around a few times. I definitely didn't have an easy time at that point because of the situation. I was just about to graduate high school, and I wanted to compete at Worlds all the time, and Worlds were in California, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna go to college. I did go to college, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna go. But I did like kind of switch gyms a lot at that point till I found my comfort zone.
So you touched on an important topic in jiu-jitsu, I think. Switching gyms and finding a right place for yourself. And it seems like as you are going through these teenage years and losing the leader, that person that you were looking up to, in addition to being a coach, right? It was difficult to find the right spot where you felt comfortable. What drove you? What items you were seeking for to find the ideal home for you to continue that journey?
I think the hardest part about that was like I was so drawn to her. Like she was like I wanted to be like her. She was like a good role model to me. And then after that, there was really in my area in New Jersey, there was really no other female coaches. So I had to like literally go from having my first coach being a female, which was super rare, to going to a whole bunch of academies that had male professors. And obviously that was a little bit different because I went from knowing one thing to a complete, like absolutely different mentality and methods, and everything was different.
Talk about that a little bit. What do you mean by different mentality, different?
I
di-
would say training with a female coach is definitely for me. It was more ideal at the time because I was a teenager. I was, going through like body changes, mental changes. I really like wanted to focus on jujitsu, and sometimes like I know from experience. I mean, I've trained with a lot of other people, but when I'm training with a male coach, they try and like, really get in your head a different way. Like the mentality is more like, no matter what, you gotta keep training. Like you get beat up, and like it's like the mentality is different. Like if you train with a woman, I feel like they're a little bit more understanding to some things, but in the male aspect, it's like, your nose is gonna bleed, you're gonna have black eyes, you're gonna feel upset, and you're gonna cry, and I don't care kind of thing.
Get over it, right? Yeah. So when you were looking this whole time, was it like clinical decisions? Was it thought out decisions, or were you just waiting for that emotional feeling of this feels right for me? This is where I want to be. Was it thought out or no?
I was definitely I don't make decisions without, like, that was pretty thought out decision, like me rolling around with people that I don't know, and just the safety aspect and everything, like I said, really took a toll in my decisions. And I personally have trained with incredible professors, even to this day. I'm really lucky and blessed because uh I had gone through some difficult moments there, definitely like switching around a little bit. Some people don't agree with that. I know that it's not something, some people believe, oh, you start with someone, you finish with someone, and that's good too. And I respect it. But especially for me and like what my goals are, I think I needed to change a few times to get where I am.
Essentially, what you're saying that not every place is perfect for everybody. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, 100%.
So you need to find. So okay, so if you are seeking, if one is seeking a perfect academy, an academy that they're gonna feel accepted, they're gonna feel that connection with the instructors and training partners. The facility is what they need to do. Safety is where it needs to do, and that seems like an impossible task for somebody who's never done. You are in a lucky position where you had experience by then, few years of what jiu-jitsu should feel like. You had an example and leader of your previous instructor, female instructor, and you were seeking for something similar, maybe not identical, but similar. But still, it seems like impossible task. What would you tell other females right now who are maybe in a similar situation? Maybe they're switching academy, they are seeking that connection, or maybe their current academy is not what they want. Maybe it's just such a fine balance, it seems like.
I would say I would tell them to find where it feels the most at home. I know that sounds like some people are like, oh, you got to train with the best people to be the best in the world. And I don't really have that mentality. I know some people it might seem that way, but I think you need to find like your home, your comfort. Like it has to feel like when you walk in the door, every single person like says hello, asks you how you're doing, wants to know about like what's going on, not just on the mat, but in your life, like they want to feel welcomed. There's so many gyms that I've personally trained in. I walk in and people don't even say hello. And I'm like, this is not, this is not where I'm going to be, like it has to be like a home gym, and it has to be tough training, like that's the other thing. Like my academy personally, I have to say, is that way. People walk in from all over and I make sure every single person says hello to them. I make sure that they're making eye contact with them. And when they train, they're training hard that they're going to challenge them. It's just a very hard environment to find. But when you do find it, it's like I consider it like a breath of fresh air kind of thing.
Yeah, and definitely you're definitely nailing onto something important, that chemistry that takes place within the students, within training partners, right? Including the trust that you have to build over time, but also that very hard training. Do you think that sometimes it's kind of put it aside and jiu-jitsu is becoming more of a social platform?
I would say in some ways, yes. Like I said, especially as it goes on, like as I've been teaching, I noticed like a lot of people in general have many different reasons why they're doing it. So if being in a social environment is their reason for signing up, then yes. But some people, obviously want to be world champion or submission only champion, whatever it is. And some people want to get in shape. But in some aspects, yeah, maybe they don't have, you know, like a lot of friends or other activities that they do. So maybe in their opinion, it could be a social platform.
Do you think jiu-jitsu is for everybody?
I personally think it's for everybody, but that's just me.
I'm putting you on the spot right now.
I do think it's for everybody. I do.
Yeah, I think there's a big point of community. At least we push that here a lot. And I think that your gym sounds like it's the same way, where, you want everybody to be welcome. But at the same time, you got to find that balance of, okay, that's enough goofing around or whatever. It's time to hit the mats and do it right. So I think that's great. What is there that sense of community at your place outside of the gym? When you're not training, when you're not competing, it's still that kind of family orientation?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I don't want to speak like my gym is very special. It's a very special environment. People who come in, like I'm very welcoming to, visitors, or I have a family gym. I have people of the same family, like husband, wife, kids, um, cousins, sister, like whatever it is, like they come in, they train. Um, and I've been lucky that way. I love the environment that, I created, my staff's created, the students, the community. It's been, I'm really lucky. I have to say in that way, I'm lucky.
That's great. Did you want to talk a little bit about how you created that? Where it came from? It was that, like you said earlier, you think about everything. You don't make decisions lightly. Was that family aspect part of it when you went into it?
So that's a pretty good question too. I like I said, when I was in high school, I wanted to be professional, like immediately. I didn't want to I wanted to open a gym eventually, but I didn't know if that was the right timing. And I had some students at that time, like kids. I started teaching kids before I started teaching, adults. And they were like, "Oh, you're gonna leave." Like, I wanted to go to California right after high school started. I wanted to compete professionally. I wanted to do everything that I possibly could on the mat at that time. But I had a bunch of kids like basically get in my face and say like, "You're really gonna just get up and leave us?" And like, "How are you gonna do that?" Like, it was
No
the
peer
worst
pressure.
field trip ever that I ever felt. And I'm like, "Oh man, you're not even my kids," and I feel bad. And then I decided to go to college, here at home because I was still teaching them or whatever. And I went to college, and then 3 weeks after I graduated college, I took my entire savings from teaching and I opened. So it was 3 weeks later after, and I opened my gym, and I always told myself, like, if I was going to make that decision for them, the environment that I was going to build was going to be worth it for them. I wasn't going to sit there and give them like half of what I could do. Like, I was going to give them all of it. So I was in college for 5 years. I was teaching, at a few different gyms. And then, like I said, it was like from there, it was super tough because I was really young. I was, I think I was 23 when I opened my gym, and it was tough. It was tough financially. Like, I was like in a big, like living in my mom's house, kind of like, it was tough, but I made it. So it's all right. It's,
So that's a huge decision to make at that age, particularly, right? You go through your college, you graduate, successful completion of big milestone in life, and then you say, I'm just gonna pull the plug. I'm gonna put all my savings on the line and I'm gonna go do what I love. And the reason why I bring this up, because there are so many people out there, I think, that are hesitant about following the dream. They're hesitant, and rightfully so, maybe. I mean, that's a huge risk, right? What if it didn't work? Then, I mean,
so I think it's very possible, like, to have that fear, like, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if I just invested all of my savings into something that didn't work? And that was in my head in the beginning. But I think what jujitsu taught me was that, like, I'm never going to stop fighting, like, even at the moments where, like, I was struggling to pay my bills in the beginning, like, something came over me again. Like, that was like, you need to give everything that you can to make this succeed. And that's where I see a lot of people struggling right now, especially with whatever's happening right now, with COVID. They didn't give 100% of themselves to the business. And that's why a lot of the academies, especially in my area, I mean, New Jersey and New York were hit so bad, but that's why they didn't succeed, because they kind of looked at it like, this is my business, not my life. You need to look at it like, this is my life, you know?
somebody a while back told me that it's easy to open a jiu-jitsu school. It's not difficult, even financially. The initial investment is pretty simple. You need mats and a room, essentially, which in a grand scheme of things, running business is really simple. But making jiu-jitsu for living, making actually life off of it and putting food on the table and the roof over your head, that's a very different dynamic. Would you agree with that statement?
I would say yes.
Why do you think it's so easy to open a jiu-jitsu academy, but so difficult to make it successful in the long run as a lifestyle, as a livelihood?
I would say that a lot of, like, if you look at it, like, how many students you're really going to keep for that long. Like, for instance, you can have a splurge of students. Let's say you have 100 or 150 students at one time, right? You're going to keep the majority of them, but as new ones are signing up, you're losing some. And then on top of that, like someone like me who still wants to compete professionally, you kind of have to find that balance of, okay, I need to be teaching this many hours a day. I need to be training this many hours a day. And I need to keep committed to both. And that is like the real hard part. Like if someone asked me what's the hardest part, I would say finding the balance between training competitively and running and operating your business. That's what I would say.
Hold on. Are you telling me that you don't just like roll occasionally a few times, during the day, and then you go get acai bowl, just relax, go to the beach, and just live the peace jiu-jitsu lifestyle? I mean, isn't that what it's all about? What's going on here? We need to get to the bottom of this.
I would say that I'm like a rare form as far as like my own training. I definitely put in a lot of work, which I have to because like at this day and age, people are great. Everyone in jiu-jitsu is like, we're modernizing it. We're exploding right now, but I do a lot. Like I train wrestling, I train judo, I do strength training, I train jiu-jitsu twice a day, like it's hardcore, like plus teaching. Sometimes I have 6 classes at my academy a day. So just to find the time and the balance is like difficult. It's extremely difficult. And your body and your mind are physically like exhausted. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't do that and like they run their academy, like you said, they kind of like more lackadaisical, but I definitely don't do that.
So then, there's some listeners out there who obviously dream about what you've done with your life, and they have a huge passion for jiu-jitsu, as we all do. But they are thinking about, maybe one day I want to teach, maybe one day I want to be instructor, maybe one day I want to have my own academy. But right now, I mean, honestly, what you're saying, why in the world I would choose that? I mean, look at Gary right now. He's just shaking his head. I want out. I don't want to be part of this. This is crazy.
That's because my boss. It's got nothing to do
Your
with
boss
how
is
hard it
awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on this? Because running a jiu-jitsu academy from a business perspective is one thing, but then training and competing on top of it, and then teaching is another layer of complexity. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Like, should people? Is this an easy route?
No, I would not say it's an easy route, but it's definitely a rewarding route. That's how I would look at it. Like the students that I have and the people that I've trained in general all over the world, I've done seminars and, I've helped a lot of people, especially women and kids, I have to say. But I really, really feel that when someone just even like tells you thank you, or you see them improve in something that they, really wanted to get good at, and it's extremely rewarding profession. I look at it that way, like all the tough moments. Then I have like, a 10-year-old kid who really wanted to learn how to do an armbar correctly and got it. It's worth it in every way for me.
Do you prefer kids or adults as far as teaching?
That's funny. That's a great question too, because a lot of people know me for I do have a really strong kids team. They've dominated pretty much the East Coast for at least 10 years probably in the competitions, at least the locals. And I really love teaching kids. I love it. But I would have to say in the last like 2 or 3 years, I kind of switched my gears a little bit, which I didn't even see coming because I love teaching kids so much. I really enjoy teaching all of them. The men, the women, and the kids. But at first, like I didn't even teach any kids classes inside my academy. My professor did. He taught all the adults and I taught all the kids. And then like a few of my training partners were like, well, why don't you come in and just like demo a move today or whatever? And I'm like, all right, I'm not really feeling it. And then I started doing it, and then I kind of fell in love with both. So that's what I'm doing now. But
Good for you. Do you think it's more difficult to teach kids or adults?
I would say it's way more difficult to teach adults. Kids are
It's
like sponges,
it's
I
so
could,
interesting. Everybody says that. It's like one would expect, if you look at it, at least in my opinion, if you look at it from outside, one would think that,
no, I would say
relaying these complex situations to 5 or 7-year-old would be complicated, but no.
they always discipline wise, they listen. Like some adults, you know, they're like, oh, they'll like question you or like say like, oh, I don't know if this works. But like a kid is like there to learn, you know, they want to get really good and they want to compete most of the time. So I would say definitely.
Yeah, I think if you're running your class right and they're having fun, they're all in, right? And I've had kids ask me questions that they're silly little kid questions. There's no ulterior motive, like you said, with adults, where it's like, is that going to work? I mean, you know, I remember being on the mat once, and professor was demonstrating. And this wasn't you, Thomas. It was somebody else, and it was an arm bar, and the guy said, "I'm just going to bite your leg." And it was like, really, that's what you're getting out of this class. And I just thought, yeah, you'd never hear anything silly like that from a kid, you know. And it's all those preconceived notions I think that adults have.
Yeah, I agree.
So you run your business for a few years now, clearly successful, female and then kids program. Obstacles, or it's all rainbows and roses all around?
No, it was never rainbows and roses for me. I wish it was at some point, but I would say the biggest obstacles there are, like I said, time management. Um, Definitely finding the right people as your staff. That was a huge obstacle for me. I had to throw some people out. I had to take some people in. I have to say though, I in that aspect, I was actually okay because my professor actually opened. He was full time with me in the beginning, so I was very lucky in that way. But I would say it was definitely an obstacle, like finding the right people. And then obviously, like I have a good location. I think people who have a bad location and space, it's kind of hard to get started and advertise themselves, you know. I feel like advertising through competing is definitely a great aspect that I did. Um, I competed a lot on a lot of high level stages, and I think that drew a lot of people to my academy, especially the women. And obviously, the financial end, like just keeping dedicated to it, was hard, but at the same time, like it was kind of easy because I I'm kind of good at what I do, you know. So I don't want to say that, but I am. So
Good for you. I
There's
mean,
nothing wrong with
that's
that.
what it boils down to, right? Having a lot of passion, being really good at what you do, recognizing the obstacles that you have ahead of you. If you don't see, you can fix it, right? So it's all, this is kind of business 101, right? And I
yeah,
understand that you went to school for business. Is
yeah,
that
I did
correct? I
for
mean,
five
so
years.
yeah, so there we go. I mean, that all that builds layers and puts milestones on top of each other to really build this structure that's going to create a core of what will carry you on for many years, hopefully decades to come, right? I mean, that's business 101, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna do anything else. You know, I'm gonna do jujitsu like and teach and run my academy uh, as long as I can. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So, when Gary and I, talked about you being a guest on the show, one of the main things that popped to my mind is, one, what a unique and interesting story of life as a martial artist, but two, you're running a jiu-jitsu academy as a female. Um, that's one. Two, you are very small as a statue. I mean, you compete at 114. I mean, like, right? So, and then on top of all this, you're in the business of martial arts and fighting. So for somebody who doesn't know, and I'm trying to be very politically correct on this here, but for somebody who doesn't know and they come into an academy and they want to learn how to fight, and then you show up at the door with a big smile and hellos and everything that you do amazingly, and they're like, "What? Hold on a minute. I need this big guy who's gonna protect me, who's gonna like." It, it- how does that work? I mean, how do you make this work in the sense of the perception that is being created about fighting, and it has been created for many, many, many years? You break it away and you find a very unique demographic, and you're very successful with it. With the fact that you're a female and you're smaller than average person.
So I would say that's definitely something that's come into play for me, especially like in my area. I mean, I'm in some of the powerhouses of jiu-jitsu academies over
Hmm.
here between New York and New Jersey, and they're great. I kudos to them. I literally like look up to these people, but for me, like I said, a lot of people when they walk in, they're like, "Wow, like you're the professor. You're small. You're blonde. You're like I'm little." And they always say to me, they're like, I'm like, don't worry about anything right now. You just need to try the class. You need to see what I can do. Like on the mat, like I've rolled with like 200, 300-pound guys and like tied them up like a pretzel. And then my other students are like, whoa, or people who are just like watching, because I believe like it's about knowledge. If I have been on the mat my entire life, and just because I'm not a man or just because I'm not bigger doesn't mean that I can't teach them. You know what I'm saying? It's just I personally feel that if you create an environment where someone's going to learn and succeed, then it really shouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You just need to create that environment.
Good for you. I mean, that's amazing train of thought, and an amazing, environment to create for the students to really learn despite of, what they look like or what the obstacles ahead of them are. Matter of fact, and I'm curious what you think about this. I actually think, as an instructor, I actually think that females, small females, have some advantages that men don't have at all. You guys can find small spaces in places that spaces don't exist. Like sometimes it's so much more difficult to train and spar with somebody who is your stature versus, somebody who is, Gary or myself. What are your thoughts on that?
I always say that too. Especially my style of jujitsu, like I have a very aggressive, competing style,
Yeah,
but
you destroy people.
but I'm very technical. If you ever if you guys get to watch my commentary a lot, like especially on my pro fights, you always hear them say that like I'm always looking for like some sort of submission, whether it's like I can get a chokehold or a strangle or, you know, some sort of or leg entanglement. I'm there. Like I can find spaces. I'm very flexible in my spine. I know people don't think that's a good thing, but like I'm used to being, because I'm small, I'm used to being stacked a lot. I'm used to like being my neck caught under me. I'm used to those positions. So when it happens in the tournaments or my super fights, I'm kind of like, that's all right, like I'm used to that. So I would say, yeah.
Good. That's awesome. Do you think jiu-jitsu is coming back? I mean, we are on this COVID thing, and
I would say yes. I mean, I'm a super positive person, but I think it's going to take some time. If you want the honest opinion, I think it's going to take some time, especially for like tournaments like the IBJJF. Or I do think though that this is really going to push the pro grappling, like super fights movement. I think COVID's actually going to push.
yeah, I was just speaking with somebody recently who is in the professional medical field, and they train at the same time, and they said, if you get through this as an academy, as an instructor, as a student, the grappling in general, wrestling, judo, martial arts in general, very likely is going to double, if not triple, not only from a revenue perspective, but only also from just awareness perspective, after all is done. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with that. I mean, I've already been facing that because in my area, like I said, because we were New York and New Jersey were obviously the first hit, that were really bad cases and deaths and everything. So I had a lot of academies around me close, permanently. And I already have gotten new members, phone calls, info, all of that just from people wanting to train. And obviously people couldn't exercise. So those people, like walking your dog and doing jujitsu, are like very different forms of exercise. So like they want to get in shape, like so I'm looking at it as an opportunity. I do that with everything in my life. I'm looking at it as an opportunity And I do agree, it's going to come back strong, especially for the people who make it.
Gary, you know what's unique about Fiona that struck me in the past 45 minutes as we've been having these conversations? This very positive and
Right.
optimistic view on life.
Right.
Fiona,
Well,
where is that coming from? Like you're yet to say that things suck. Like,
I don't know. Like, you're not the only person who said that to me, but I just, I look at life as a blessing, and, I take every day as it goes, and I'm healthy and I'm doing what I love. So there's nothing to be negative about.
yeah, just get through it. Doing what you love, I think, plays a big part, right?
Yeah,
If you're unhappy and things like this happen, I don't think you're gonna come out the other side of it.
it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
yeah. No. Do you think the tournaments are coming back anytime soon? I mean, that's a big part of your life.
Yeah, so IBJJF, I do like to compete IBJJF, but I really prefer to do super fights. I don't know if people like know that, but I definitely 100%, like, I was on EBI twice, I did Kasai Pro
Mhm.
twice, I did Fight to Win 3 times, like, I like the super fights. Do I think IBJJF is coming back anytime soon? I would have to say no. And
Yes.
that might have been a little negative. So
Yeah. It's understandable though, the amount of competitors and everything that needs to be done, right, to get those promotions going. I just watched you just get submission of the night on Fight to Win. Speaking of Fight to Win, like right before we started doing this, so that was pretty cool. So you are open, right? You are having classes, kids classes and stuff. What's the attitude you get from your students and your students' parents about coming back now?
Well, that's definitely a good question, because that's an area where I felt a little bit nervous about reopening. I was really lucky because I did virtual learning on Zoom 5 days a week. So I kept my student base pretty well. I kept like all my students. The only ones that I didn't really keep were with pre-existing health injuries. Like, they were very nervous about, coming back if we were going to reopen or things like that. As they're coming back now, the issue that I'm facing is really not with the adults. And I found that very surprising, because that's the most, like, I would say that's where people are the most affected with COVID, like in that older range, or like with other, they're just around more people, they work in the city, whatever it is. But my kids, really, only my competitive kids have come back. The rest are still on Zoom right now.
Do you think that's changing anytime soon?
That's a good question. So I did like a trial and run period with my competitive kids, because they all train privately with me and then do group class. But like they all, their parents didn't give me a hard time. Like, they kind of wanted them to get back. But like the kids that are in my normal classes, their parents, I guess, want to see what happens. I don't want to say that, like, they want to see like if anyone gets sick, or just in general. I think kids are the least affected, in my opinion. So I think kids should be able to go back.
Well, I think there's a lot of unknown with all of this, right? I mean, schools is going to start soon, about a month away or so. A lot of dynamics going on there, and it's summer, middle of the summer too. So I think maybe some parents maybe are hesitant, kind of balancing and finding priorities, what's more important. And jiu-jitsu is, wants, not need. So it kind of maybe falls off. What do you think?
I think about that too. Like, okay, well, like, we're open again and they still, they're not coming back in immediately. I think that has something to do with, we want to go to the shore, or we want to go to the beach, or maybe just like see what happens. I think it's really that. If someone asks me, I think it's like, okay, I'll have like these 10 people go in and see if anyone gets sick.
Yeah, people are
Then,
playing it safe, maybe.
yeah,
Just,
I think
taking
they're
it
playing
easy,
it
playing it
safe.
safe. Yeah, it makes sense. And I do think that a lot of it has to do with, it's been 4 months. Their routine has changed. If they were supposed to be somewhere at 4:45 3 days a week in February, that's all different now, and trying to get people back into that routine. I think it's a combination of those things. But I do think that the academies that survive are going to do really well after all this. I think it's that positive attitude, right, that you have, that Thomas has. People are bringing that attitude with them through all this, and I think they're going to succeed afterwards. I think as far as you go and us here, I think we're going to do fine.
That's great to hear. I love positivity like that.
It took a long time for me to get
Fiona,
that.
you need to do me a favor. Talk to Gary a little bit more. I need
About
him to be more
positivity?
positive.
Yeah,
A little more positive attitude.
I need a better group of people. The guys I hang around with, they're all downers, negative Nancy's.
You can talk to me whenever you want.
All right, cool.
I just got excluded.
There we go.
Great,
Nice.
great. Well,
Nice.
there you go. This is.
I'm feeling better about myself already.
Fiona, where's the academy going to be like 5 years from now? What's your goal, from competition perspective, business perspective? Like, where's your mind? You're a huge planner. Everything is strategic. Obviously, that's what brought you to the point of success where you are today. What's your plan? Where are you headed?
So that's actually a great question. I would say like a short term, like 5-year goal for me. I definitely have a few students that are going to be black belts soon. I promoted my first female black belt actually not too long ago, but I have a few that actually have shown interest in wanting to affiliate with me at their own academies. And I do see that happening. I also plan on opening a bigger academy next year, just because the numbers, like I said, I'm doing pretty well right now. I hope it keeps going that way, but I do plan on owning the building. Right now I rent, so I plan on owning a building. And as far as competing goes, I'm actually going to compete in September. I have a super fight submission on the shore. I haven't announced it yet, so I guess
you just
could.
did.
It's official now. You just did.
So I will be competing again, and I do plan on keeping, as long as my body's healthy and I can keep going. I'm gonna compete. I love what I do. I do plan on, eventually having
Hold on.
kids.
You can't sweep this under the rug. Who's your opponent? Like, who are you? Like, you can't just say, "Hey, I'm coming back," but
I don't want to call anyone out.
oh,
But
nobody listens to this show. It's just Gary and I. Come on.
I'm competing against a woman named Amanda Miller. I've never competed against her before, so I'm actually intrigued. I'm actually going to go up in weight. It's very hard right now for me to find anybody like to compete against me at this weight. So I just told them I would go up. I'd have no problem going up. I even did EBI at 2 different weight classes. So I'm going to compete against her in September, and I'm excited to get back in,
Good for you. I mean, that's always a great goal to have, especially with, the obstacles of life that we have and limited training, because, one could look at it that way today, right? Less training partners, limited time, unusual situations, and so on, and a stress of life. So good for you. I mean, my head goes off to you. Great to see you get back on the mat again.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. You have no idea. I'm like pumped up.
Yeah, so you can tell.
Listen, so we got this new thing that we're doing on the show, and Gary has 5 questions. They are very, very important, and we're gonna put you on a spot here. And let's have a little bit of fun with this.
All right. So we talked about this a little bit already, but and you trained in so many other aspects of martial arts, but the first time you stepped on the mat, and you know what, pick whatever it was, whether it was your striking, jiu-jitsu, right? We can change it up. But what was it like for you the first time you ever stepped on the mat?
I would say it was extremely scary.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to really be in myself, because I was like, wow, why am I doing this? Like, why am I barefoot? Why am I on a mat with people I don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we rolling with these? Like, why are we punching? Why are we kicking? Like, this is violent,
Cool.
Wait a minute. That was your concern while you do the same thing to other people now?
I was young. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Times change. So most rewarding life achievement. And I think I know the answer already, but go ahead.
I would say getting my college.
Damn, I was wrong.
I would say getting my college degree and getting my black belt.
Nice. There you go.
Those
So I'm going to change the order because of what you just said. What was it like at that moment when the black belt was put around your waist? Just a short description. What words are popping into your head when that went around?
I would say it was like unreal. It felt like I was going to start again, like a new step in my life, a new chapter, and all the chapters that I had recently or in my whole life were closing. So I was starting a new chapter of my life, and I was super excited.
Yeah, that's a great answer. We hear that a lot. Thomas has asked people, do you think that's when the journey ends? And so far, everybody has said in discussions that we've had is, no, that's when it starts again, right? It's all new. Awesome. And then let's see here. Where was I? Have you ever wanted to quit?
Yeah, of course. Of course I wanted to quit. I'm getting beat up by grown men every day,
So
What
why
keeps you
didn't
going?
you?
Yeah.
I'm like a rare human, I get excited like when I get beat up. Like people say to me, they're like I'll have the toughest people in the room. I'll go every single round, like 10 rounds straight, and I'll be like like literally I look like I'm gonna die on the mat, and they're like, why do you love this? And I'm just like, it's just me, like it's who I am.
They often say that you don't get it until you do it, and I think this is a good example of it. Jiu-jitsu is a good example. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I get that all the time. Why in the world you do this? That's just gross. That's just what? What's wrong with you?
All right. And then the last one, and this one's super silly, but do you wash your belt?
No.
No.
No, I just got my second degree.
Yes, congratulations.
Congrats
you.
on that. Yeah, that's a controversial one in jiu-jitsu.
No.
Good for you.
Why
Good
not?
for you.
Why not?
No, like it's tradition. You're not supposed to, all
right.
your training and everything's in the belt. So.
All right, so I got to write this down. We've got one no.
Are we gonna,
Oh my God,
keep a tally.
the first one.
Yeah,
Gary's gonna keep a tally.
I'm gonna keep a tally. First 1 to 5 will change my mind on this situation. So if
There
we
you
do
go.
5 no's
There you
before
go.
5 yeses, I'll change up what I do.
Fiona, what a great journey. What a great story. Thanks for being here with us today and sharing all of the stories and just all that information. I feel like this is not only amazing from the fact that you've been doing this for so long, but also your success and the attitude that you have towards the work ethic and what you're trying to build within your academy and within your life. I mean, my head goes off to you. Congratulations. Amazing life. We wish you nothing but the best. Where can people find you? How can they find you? Where are you on social media? Boom, go.
So you guys can find me on Instagram. My Instagram name is at Team Fiona BJJ, and my academy is at Notorious Mixed Martial Arts. That's probably the easiest way to find me right now.
Awesome.
Perfect. Great.
Well, thanks for being here. We're gonna wrap this up. If you're ever in Chicago area, stop by RŌL Academy. You're always welcome to be there. And I'm actually in New Jersey a few times a year outside of this COVID thing. So I'll make a point to reach out to you next time I'm there, and maybe I can stop by and get beat up by you as long as you take it easy on me.
You guys are always welcome, always. And you guys could, thanks so much for having me too.
Thank you. It's been great. We had a lot of fun today. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Fiona. Take care.
Take care, Fiona. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.